Hola, ¿qué tal? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Meg James, your Move to Spain mom, and we are here at episode siete, talking all about taxes in Spain and why you may think you're eligible for the Beckham Law, but you're not. So that is probably the scariest thing that you can say to an American who is considering a move to Spain, especially one who may own their own company. You might have all these different ideas of what living in Spain will be like, and excitement of picking an apartment and picking the school and the area you want to live in. And then you meet with a tax counselor here in Spain, a gestor or a tax company, and they give you the news. You are not eligible as an American for the Beckham Law. So stick with me before you decide to kick the plan to move to Spain in the can. Let's talk more about why you may not be eligible for the Beckham Law, but what you can do instead. Okay, let's just begin and make sure we understand in full what the Beckham Law is. So I'm sure you've heard of the name David Beckham, a famous former football, soccer star here in Europe. And in America, he's the Spice Girl husband, if you need a little more info. And so what happened was when he came to play in Spain for professional football, he did not want to be taxed at this crazy 40 to 50% tax range that many people are when they're in Spain. And so they came out with what is called the Beckham Law. And it basically protects you from having to pay the full amount under certain qualifications. And so it is a flat 24% tax that is in the Beckham Law. So you think about that and you hear about it and you're like, okay, well, I paid 22% in the US. I could totally move to Spain and pay 24%. What's the big deal that people are saying about how much more taxes are in Spain? Well, here's the kicker. The Beckham Law is not eligible for American freelancers. So people who qualify, like David Beckham, for the Beckham Law are usually Europeans or Americans who are working in some form of a European fashion. So they work for a European company. And that's pretty rare. It's possible, but it's rare. And so what do you do if you're a freelancer like myself and my husband? So we own 3 US businesses, 3 businesses that we run here from Spain, some that we had before and some that we started since we moved here. We have 3 separate LLCs that we roll into kind of one conglomerate of all of our earnings together, and not S Corps or all the other breakdowns of businesses, just 3 small businesses that we run, but we're freelancing and they're all American US companies. So what does that mean for taxes for us? We have found a tax advisor here in Spain that after meeting with 3 prior ones who scared us to death saying, oh, it will be a flat 40% or you'll pay 30% of tax, we finally met someone who understands our concerns with paying that much tax and instead is quoting us closer to a 26 to 29% range. And so how is that possible? And who is it? Let's talk more about that. Because we are not eligible for the 24% Beckham Law, because we're American freelancers, this tax professional that we have hired is one of the most business savvy, or someone who understands Americans specifically, who help us to not only categorize our business and show what type of business it is to the Spanish government versus a gestor who kind of just runs the numbers and gives you a total. This is someone who actually looks at what we do, helps kind of fit it into different boxes in Spain, and makes it a little more clarified for Spain so that we can get a better estimate on what we should pay. He also will help us with any possible deduction we may have. And honestly, at the end of the day, he just doesn't feel like we have to worry about spending anything close to a 40 or 37% tax range because he is someone who is familiar with American business structures and can help get them set up. Now, he's not doing anything different than tax accountants can do. He doesn't have any special powers of American, conglomerates. Instead, he's just very knowledgeable, and it's important who you use for taxes in Spain. We met with 3 companies prior here in Spain who did not have a lot of knowledge in the difference of American freelancing versus just taxes in general. Kind of like a gestor, I guess. Gestor in Spain is someone who just is your tax company, a tax accountant, someone who runs the numbers. So when you have someone who's familiar with American companies, then they give you options and they give you ways that they report that end up being more favorable for Americans. And so at the end of this video, I'm going to link the information. It's through American Legal Spain, who is our preferred legal partner here in Spain. And honestly, just so knowledgeable about how to get our taxes going each year, answers our questions about our American concerns, answers our questions about living in Spain concerns, and just cannot recommend him enough. No, we're not eligible for the Beckham Law, and I wish that we were paying a flat 24%. But if we're paying closer to a 28% tax amount, but it includes our medical benefits as freelancers, that's something that we can totally understand being reasonable. And so that is how we are solving as an American family that are freelancers our issue of how it is to live in Spain with taxes. Now, it's important to say too that a lot of people will go on the internet or go into Facebook groups or join Instagram chats, and people scare people and say, oh, I'm not moving to Spain because of taxes, I'm not doing this. I am someone who has lived here now going into our 3rd year, and it is way less scary as long as you have a knowledgeable team. So I just tell people, don't just move to Spain and then figure it out. Have a plan together, have a solid team, use someone who's referred like this, because it makes such a world of difference and comfortability of getting used to this country and knowing that it's going to be financially feasible. And so we keep a whole separate account aside for taxes. I've shared this in a previous episode, but if my husband, I'm just going to make up a number, was to make $100,000 in one calendar year, we are living here in Spain off of $50,000. What we do with that additional $50,000 is we just place it into an account that we save so it's ready for taxes and other emergencies and things. And so it's really important to financially plan taxes. It should not be an afterthought for you if you're thinking of moving to Spain. And I've mentioned in previous episodes here too that you have to also think about the fact that the US is one of the countries that's going to ask you annually, no matter how long you live in Spain, to continue to pay Social Security and Medicare to the US. And for our family of 4, that's still an additional $10,000 per year to the US, and that has nothing to do with double taxation. That is solely just Social Security and Medicare. So having a good, solid plan is exactly what you need to feel much better about taxes. You're never gonna get exact answers like you do in the US, where you immediately get a report run and this is how much you owe and it matches perfectly. There is more of a question mark in Spain, just because that's how Spain's bureaucratic systems work, is it's not always as clear and dry cut as you'd like it to be. But I'm telling you as someone who lives here that it's very navigable, and with the right information, you can make a really wise decision in planning for your family. This is such a stinky topic. Let's talk about something really fun. This summer, my family and I have been on the quest to visit the 107 cities and pueblos that are in the Costa del Sol. I've mentioned before that our family moved from Madrid to the Costa del Sol just a few weeks ago, now almost a month, and we are learning there are so many different areas of the Costa del Sol to explore. The beautiful pueblos like Benavis and Caceres and all these different areas that are these whitewashed towns. And so I am sharing over in my Instagram page, if you're not part of it, we'd love to have you join the community, all about these 107 cities and towns, because they all have their own personality and unique flair. And so I'm going to be attaching here a sheet that I created that helps me track where we go in the Costa del Sol of these 107. So if you are someone who lives nearby or is thinking of traveling to the Costa del Sol, come and join us, and you can check along on your own family's map the places that you explore as well. So let me know in the comments, one, if you have any questions about taxes, if you've connected with our tax partner and used them and found that they were as knowledgeable as we find them to be, and then also if you get somewhere really fun in the Costa del Sol or have a recommendation for somewhere that we're headed. So, ciao.